Hey listeners, we're taking a quick break to talk about something delicious and close to our hearts. Kristen, you've got something exciting to share, right?
Absolutely, Louisa. When I went vegan, I found that having some go-to recipes really made the transition easier. That's why I've created a place to help everyone go from vegan curious to vegan confident.
That sounds so amazing. So, where can our listeners find these resources?
They can visit my website, kristenmaderos.com. I've packed it with all the tips and tricks that helped me change my lifestyle so that you can make your vegan journey smooth and enjoyable.
And there's more, right? I heard you're offering something special for our podcast listeners.
Yes, just for our listeners. Head on over to kristenmaderos.com right now to start your path to becoming vegan confident. Get my favorite recipes that I really used when I was transitioning to veganism. It's all on my website.
That is awesome. Do not wait, folks. Visit KristenMaderos.com today and take the first step towards a healthier, compassionate lifestyle. Kristen, thanks for sharing this great resource.
Thank you, Louisa. I'm so excited to see how everyone's journey unfolds. Remember, being vegan isn't just good for you, it's good for the planet too. Welcome to Flying Upstream, the podcast where we uncover the choices, practices, and wisdom that defy mainstream conventions. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Louisa. And together we're here to illuminate the alternative paths that have shaped human experiences through the ages. In each episode, we'll examine ways to move beyond societal norms. We're passionate about how timeless wisdom and unique lifestyle choices can foster healthier, sustainable, and enriching lives.
Join us as we navigate, challenge, and celebrate the beauty and insight of walking the road less traveled. If you've ever felt like you're flying north for the winter while everyone else is flying south, you've found your flock. Welcome back, free spirits. Today's episode is one you definitely don't want to miss. Joining us today is Louise Fitzgerald, an incredibly talented, intuitive, spiritual life coach and mindfulness meditation teacher. Louise has a unique gift for sharing and shifting energy, which she uses to guide her clients through life's significant challenges.
That's right, Kristen. Louise's journey is fascinating. Born with the ability to sense and understand energies that most of us simply can't perceive, she uses this gift to help people uncover what's really happening beneath the surface of their lives, whether it's personal relationships, career transitions, or personal growth. Louise has an uncanny ability to get to the heart of issues quickly and effectively.
And her expertise doesn't stop there. Louise is also a certified mindfulness meditation teacher and has developed her own online course called Blissful Living. She's not just helping individuals, but also transforming workplaces with her corporate mindfulness sessions.
And she's worked with a range of clients, from executives in top government and private sectors to conducting workshops in places as unique as barbershops. Louise's work is all about making real practical change, encouraging everyone she works with to break free from toxic situations and align with their true purpose.
Today, Louise is here to share some powerful insights and maybe even some tips that can help us all. Whether you're looking to make a big change in your life or just find more confidence to move forward, you won't want to miss what she has to say.
So, without further ado, let's welcome Louise Fitzgerald to the show. We're so excited to have you here with us, Louise, and we can't wait to dive into your experiences and learn from your wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you for the intro, and thank you so much for having me today.
Of course. Louise, could you start by telling us about the moment you realized you had this unique ability to read and shift energy? What was the experience like for you?
I guess there's really one pivotal moment in my later 20s, I think, but that made it more obvious. But I guess it was like growing up younger, I realized I was different. I was picking up on stuff that other people weren't, and even had some sort of premonitions, but I didn't really know what to do with them. Because when you're a kid, like anything that you're experiencing is do other people have this? I didn't realize at first that this was quote unquote not normal. And then it was, oh, I don't think this is normal. So I really pushed it aside. And then it was later in my 20s, I was at a wellness event and there was a medium on stage. If people listening know what a medium is, they communicate with people that have passed over. And she was bringing through information about people that had passed over. But before she was saying the information, I was getting it. So that was when I was like, oh my gosh, well, what's going on here? That kind of was like when I say the volcano erupted and I couldn't put the lava back in. I'd suppressed the ability, so to speak, for so long. And it had been there in the background, but not quite so much in this way that I would go to work and start to get information about people I was chatting to, just like we're chatting here now. And I had to learn how to control it so that I could just move through the world. It was quite a long journey to get to understanding what the abilities were, how to use them, how to tame them. And then, as you said, to shift the energy, that had to come with some training, basically.
That sounds so profound. After you realized this, how did this shape the direction of your personal and your professional life?
At first, I was like, what's happening? It was quite like a bit of a shock. And I assume in America, you guys call it human resources as well, HR. Yeah, I was like just trying not to be sent to HR. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I was getting information that I was like, oh, this could be really helpful to someone, but I didn't know how much to share, or so it was quite like the navigation system and who to share it with in my personal life as well. So it was a weird kind of like coming out of the spiritual closet in a way. And so I didn't think I would be doing it for work though. No way. I'm just trying to figure out how to like tame this thing. So at first it was like, yeah, how do I just figure out how to do this? And I very quickly ran into a couple of people that kind of just said to me, you're just going to be doing this. And I was like, still, no, I don't think so. And then cut to, it ended up happening. So I feel that volcano that happened at the right time. And it was like, okay, it's time now.
Amazing.
Wow. So you made a significant shift from your corporate job then to working full-time as an intuitive and the spiritual coach. What were the biggest challenges that you faced during this time?
Almost similar to the figuring out I had the abilities. So from childhood to like adulthood, and how it was like a slow progression. This was quite similar because, as I said, I never wanted to actually do this for work. So it started off that I would have people come to me and I would help them like for free. I was like, if I figure out how to use this ability to help people for these like little sessions, it's got a place to go. So that was how it started. And then people would refer their friends and then it just started growing. And I realized it was really like I had been reading personal and spiritual growth books since I was younger. I really was like, I want to share this aspect of everything I know. And it all started to merge because I could get this information that was tying into the books that I'd read when I was younger and was still reading. And so it started to develop. You open an Instagram and all of those kinds of things. And it went that way. But as I said, at first in the workplace, it was very much like I didn't, and not at the end that everyone even knew anyway, but I didn't want to share it with everyone. And it was a really gradual process. I think that's important for people to hear too, because we get on Instagram and we see these stories like, I made $1 million in 3 months. And I don't think that's really realistic for a lot of people. I think if people have this thing that they want to start or want to launch, it really has to work for them in their time frame, for their financial situation. And it never even has to be a full-time thing. I've got a friend who's a nurse and she just paints on the side and she's fine to do both, and that kind of works for her.
Yeah.
I love your comment about realizing that what we see on social media is not necessarily representative of real life. And
Absolutely not.
you're making me
Yeah.
think of When I see pictures of friends' babies online, how the pictures are always so cute and they're smiling. And no, 90% of the time, that's not how it is, right?
So true.
You just
And it's like
catch that
such a
one
good,
moment.
yeah, it's such a good example because then you go over to their house and the baby won't stop crying and it's
Yeah.
not sleeping and it's not eating. And yeah, social media is the same as babies on Instagram, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It seems like navigating all of these challenges must have required a lot of resilience from you,
Mm.
a lot of trial and error to try to find exactly where your place in all of this was. And I'm curious how you've used that to help your clients manage and overcome their own life challenges.
That's actually such a great question because I think, particularly for this kind of work that I do, I would say, and knowing my colleagues in the field, we all never really had anything too easy. And then you realize it's because you went through something, you can really help someone else navigate it. To your question, yes, it did. It was like one portion of my life and it was quite difficult to navigate. And there's been so much else that has been even more difficult. But then when someone comes to me and they're like, how do I do this? How do I navigate this difficulty? I'm worried about this. I'm fearful of this. I've got something really tangible to tap into.
That's such a great point. And I think that probably contributes to memorable client transformations, I can imagine, because you're not coming from a place of, I read a book about it. Not
Mm,
that's an awful way to help someone, but you're
yeah.
actually coming from a place of, I have felt what you have felt, and makes it so much easier to be relatable.
And even if it's not like a direct translation, so someone maybe lost their father. I haven't lost my father, but I know what grief feels like, for example. So, yeah, it's not always a direct translation, but as you said, you can tap into some element of it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So one of the things that we mentioned about you was the mindfulness component. How do you integrate mindfulness into your practice, and how does it complement your intuitive sessions?
It's becoming more and more of an aspect of the sessions, I realize, because when I'm working with people and they're stuck or confused or they're struggling to make a decision, a lot of the time there's so much stress. And all of that is, say, it's like adding a cloud over the top, almost like a fog over their brain. Initially, when I started doing this work, I could just tap into the answer to things and then just send people on their merry way. But what I realized over the time was I much preferred to empower them to make the decision. I was always really doing that, but it's become more and more this thing of like, how can I send this person off with tools that they can keep doing? So I've been introducing more breathing techniques. Here's how you can ground yourself. Here's how you can get that clarity so that the next decision that comes, you've got this. Because I think that I find that the major issue when people are trying to make decisions is the stress.
Yeah.
So you've run mindfulness workshops in some unique places, including barbershops. What's the most unusual setting that you've worked in, and what was that like?
It's funny you mentioned barbershops because it might be one of the funniest places because we were literally in barber chairs. And I guess one of the more unique things about it was being in a room full of men that are all like tattooed up. And I'm thinking, are they going to be open to this? And some of them are like, oh, I've done meditation before, I do it. And you're like, oh, okay. So it was a weird setting to be in, to be all sitting in barber chairs to do the meditation. But it was surprising to realize that, judge a book by its cover, and these tough men that I thought would not be maybe open to it were steps ahead of some of the people in the corporate setting where I thought, oh yeah, they've probably read about this or they know about this. So yeah, it probably is the barbershops.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty unique. With such a wide range of experiences, how do you tailor your workshops to meet the diverse needs of your participants?
Oh, that's such a good question. I tailor it every time. I've got one coming up that's co-working space, if you guys know that term in America. So with that, I was like, okay, they're generally all going to be business owners. And I present a few different ideas and then let the business pick. But essentially, I'll say, look, I think these people are going to be stressed in this way,
Mhm.
needing help this way, and their outcome is their business working. So then I'll tailor it to that. And then I've got another one coming up soon. I do a lot of fertility and pregnancy work. So that will be really focusing on the outcome for those people, which is I want to get pregnant or I want to reduce my stress when I'm pregnant. So then I can tailor it. But it's the really interesting thing is most of the tools that we can all use in life are much the same, but it's just directing it in a way that person can tap into it. But there's also this other element of who am I speaking to? A lot of the people I speak to are busy, but if it's a busy professional, I've got 5 minutes, like 5 minutes in the morning, that's it. So then I've got to really tailor it to that. Or someone that might be trying to get pregnant, they might be busy, but they've got a lot more time and dedication because it's more important to them. So yeah, I'll tailor it to how busy they are as well.
You're clearly amazing. And I think that this unique approach probably helps your clients keep coming back again and again. And given the impact that you have, I'm curious, how do you ensure that you stay refreshed and that you continue to provide such deep value to your clients?
It's a great question. I think because I believe we're here on Earth, and some people call it Earth School, where you are here to learn and grow yourself. So I think some people in my position might be like, I have all these abilities and that's it, and I'm done. You know what I mean? But I'm very much like, I'm a student forever. I'm going through my life experiences. I make sure that anything that I'm asking my client to do, I would be doing it. So if it's like, you need to have this difficult conversation with your partner because of XYZ, I don't get to not do that. And I don't want to. I really can't help it because I just love healing and personal growth and spiritual growth. So I guess I'm always upskilling. And then, as I mentioned over the years, I've got one particular mentor who I've trained with energy healing and learned a lot from her. I've even just recently done another training as well, which is called Bankston Energy Healing. They've actually done journal articles on it, tested it in labs, and done all of this kind of stuff to see outcomes on cancer. So, yeah, I'm always looking for ways that I can make sure that I've got like a new set of skills, but I'm also working on myself so that it's like I'm not just sitting back and expecting everyone else does stuff and I don't do it.
So I love that. I love that you brought up energy healing. And I know that you do energy healing, particularly for fertility and pregnancy, like you mentioned. Could you explain how that works in that context? Because I think that information could be really helpful for a lot of people.
It's such an interesting thing because I don't think a lot of people realize it's a possibility. So something like acupuncture, when women are trying to get pregnant or even when they are pregnant, is more well known now, which is funny because a little while ago it was the weird thing, right? Where it's like, what is this? But it's pretty well accepted now. So, energy healing, the way that I do it, is somewhat similar without the needles. So, that's a plus for people that don't like the needles because I'm just getting the energy to move where it's blocked, which is the same as acupuncture, right? That's just one aspect of the energy healing. So what I like to do is, and this applies to a non-fertility session as well, I always want to get to the root cause. So if you imagine that there's like a weed in a garden, I will just pull the head off the weed and then the root system's still in place. So the weed comes back. But when I'm doing energy healing, I'm like, okay, what's the root system? So I see this thing on the surface. I see this weed on the surface that's in a person is like a block or something like that, that it's like the energy's not moving. So I want to know what's creating it. So I go deeper into that. So I guess the difference between, say, like an acupuncture session and this is like the needle would be going to where that block is, clearing that block, and the energy can move again, but the block might come back. So I want to know what's actually going on. And I'll give an example. So recently I had a client and her partner wasn't in the session, but I can read people remotely. So I don't need the partner to be there. And the partner, she said, was going through a bit of like controlling anxiety. And we can think, oh, it's this. And I look at it and I go, no, it's not. It's actually something that happened when he was 7 or 8. That experience with his parents is creating this experience now. So rather than just saying, oh, he's anxious, like here's some tools to help with that anxiety, which I can do, I'm like, why is that anxiety there? So this is a long answer, but when it comes to the fertility aspect, so I'm looking for all those blocks and I'm clearing all those blocks. So are there blocks in the physical system, in the reproductive area? Let's clear them. Is there fears around becoming a parent? And they might not even know that they're there. Do they have any belief systems about not being able to hold something? I know that sounds strange, but like your ability to hold and keep something can really tie into that. So there can be all these beliefs that can be blocking it. So basically, I just go through all of these things and check like the health system. Then sometimes there's just really funny things, like a client the other day, I won't give too many details to not say who it was, but she had really bad morning sickness. And I was like, this thing that you're eating, I was able to like tell her what the food item was. I'm like, this is actually causing your problem. You're doing it to be healthy, but it's actually making you sick. So then she could cut it out. But yeah, lots of tools come in.
I think hearing about the effectiveness of the energy healing work that you do, especially in such sensitive areas, is really inspiring. And I'm curious what advice you would give to someone who's curious but skeptical about trying energy healing.
Yeah, that is a great question because as we said, like acupuncture was the weird, and I'm sure it still is weird to a lot of people, but it was this thing that was unusual. But I guess it takes trying it almost. Like there's not too many ways around it. I do generally get a lot of word of mouth referrals. So someone's tried it and then their friend tries it. I actually deliberately have left like a 30-minute session option open to book with me because first timers always book 30 minutes pretty much. Sometimes they don't because they're like, oh, my friend knows you and I think I need more time. But a lot of the time people are like, I just want to dip my toe into this and understand who you are and what you do. I'm sure, yeah, people are unsure. Like, how do you do anything if you're not touching me? I think I used to have that feeling too with remote energy healing before I did this work. I couldn't quite understand if we're not in the room together, or even if we are in the room together, but you're not like doing any massage or you're not doing putting needles in me, like I don't understand. But the energetic body really can't be touched anyway. But the energetic body is then connected to the physical body. So then when you clear it through the energetic body, it clears itself through the physical body. So you can get through there that way.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And
So it's kind
yeah,
of like trying to get people to understand, no, I don't need to
yeah,
touch your chakras. I can just,
I can be in your energy as long as, yeah. You know what it reminds me of when I first started going to virtual therapy with my therapist, not in
yes,
the same room. It
yes,
reminds me of that because I was like, how is she
yes.
going to help me? But it was like she was doing the work the whole time and she wasn't
I
touching
know.
me.
I know it's funny, right? I think
Yeah.
even I had the same thing with my kinesiologist who again, it's another different practice that I'm not sure if people are aware of, but she never touched me when I was in the room. It was like I laid on the bed. And so I think that was my mental thing. I was laying on a bed. And so then she would do stuff. Or sometimes I think she would touch me, do muscle testing and stuff like that. But again, when COVID hit, I couldn't quite wrap my head around like, how are we going to do this? And then I transitioned to online. I was like, oh, this is so much easier. I don't need to leave my house.
And it's similar. Kristen practices, right?
It's the same thing, right? I think when I first read about Reiki, that was actually the practice I was referring to. I was like, but how? Because I don't get it because you're not touching me. So we're all in the same boat.
And on a much lighter note than that, though, what is one thing that you do every day that keeps you aligned with your own purposes and goals? Because I know that can be hard.
One thing that I do every day that does align me with it, that doesn't seem like it would, there's probably a few things, but I have to walk. Like after this, It's for the listeners at 6 something in the morning here. After this, I'll go for my walk, my morning walk. Because pretty much without it, I find I'm so just foggy and can't concentrate and all those kinds of things. So it's in a way for me like a meditative practice, but I get the fresh air and I get the movement and I am able to check in with my body. And then I guess to stay aligned with my goals, I'm always using my intuition, which I'm sure you guys are as well. Like even this conversation kind of stemmed from, I'm sure we're all intuitively, do we get along? Do we get, I don't want to say this person, but meaning as in, does this person vibe? Do we all vibe with each other? And you guys might have been like, oh, she's not for me. Or I would have gone, oh, no, I'm not really sure.
Yep.
So, by the way, there was like no question. I'm just using it for the listeners to show every day, like we have a million different decisions and I'm always like, does this vibe with me or should I do this right now? I'm also very action orientated though. So I have to write everything down and have goals that I stick to. But on a broader sense, it's very much like making decisions based on intuition and what feels right and timings and yeah.
And finally, Louise, what are you most excited about in your upcoming projects? Are there any new ventures or collaborations on the horizon?
My most exciting thing was this interview in recent history. I'm wanting to get back into the community a little bit more. So as I mentioned, I've got like a pregnancy and fertility workshop and I'm doing some talks and it's been, I think, post-COVID, like so much of a shift and I'm excited to get back in rooms with people. But I also just love the one-on-one work. I actually love the virtual remote work and connecting with other people and even just this, that we can connect with people that are on the other side of the world is so cool.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be a little better if it was like a little later in the day, but for you.
Yeah, but now I'm awake, so it's all good. Like it's
Oh.
all up from here. Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this and for joining us today and for making the effort to compromise on the
Oh,
time with
of
us.
course. Thanks so much for having me, guys. It was so great to be on the episode.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, free spirits, Kristen here.
And hi, I'm Louisa here. And Kristen and I are thrilled to invite you to our new exciting mini course called Crystals in Practice, Enhancing Your Life with Gemstone Energy.
This isn't just another crystal course. We're diving deep into how these beautiful stones can be practically used for health, energy, and even home decor.
From understanding the science behind crystals to learning how to choose the right ones for your personal needs, we've got everything covered.
Plus, we'll show you how we use our own crystals in our everyday lives.
And the best part, you'll learn from real-life applications and expert tips on integrating crystal use into your daily routine.
Whether you're a crystal novice or a seasoned collector, there's something in this course for everyone. So why not join us to dig into the mystical powers of crystals?
Sign up today and transform your understanding of these natural wonders. Let's illuminate your journey with the beauty and energy of crystals.
Spaces are limited, so don't miss out. Check out the link in our bio or visit our website to enroll now. We can't wait to start this sparkling adventure with you. All right, free spirits, that's all the time we have for today on Flying Upstream.
We hope this episode sparked your curiosity and ignited a desire to explore the extraordinary paths less traveled.
Even when the current feels strong, a whole world of possibilities awaits.
We'll see you next time on the other side of mainstream.
So keep questioning, keep challenging, and most importantly, keep flying upstream.